physical exertion required to drive a race car is like that of no other sport, and that exertion must often be delivered under the extreme demands of heat and speed. Imagine 200 miles an hour through a winding Death Valley canyon while being pursued by 15 others. In other words, nothing trains for racing quite like racing itself. And with limited track time, drivers must seek alternative methods.
I flew F-16s with the Air Force for 10 years. And for 3 of those years I was a mission commander and also a formally trained instructor pilot. And what I've done then is I've taken the discipline and the structure from military and commercial aviation and adapted that to training methods for motorsports.
To that end, PitFit has partnered with RaceCraft1 Motorsports Training to create a specialized program that incorporates racing seat time into traditional fitness routines.
It's critical that you basically put a driver into a situation that is very similar to what they go through in the race car.
Now the drivers can train and get their heart rate up through physical exertion and then jump right into the hot cock simulators and practice hot lapping. This gives them the advantage of driving with the same physiological stresses that they have at the actual race. So that's what's very unique about it here.
As the world of motorsports grows ever more competitive, the opportunities to gain a performance edge diminish. That's certain.
The simulators used by World Championship teams at that level involve multiple banks of computers, millions of lines of code, and quite a significant expense, millions of dollars, to very accurately simulate and model the car, the motor, the tires, the track, and the conditions.
I mean, I think that we found, at the highest level, obviously things need to be very accurate to what we experience on track for that to be a particularly usable tool. But there's a lot of things just in terms of understanding the general engineering process of the race car, what types of changes you can make to the car, the effect of making those changes, all of those things could be done at almost any level.
In the simulation that's available to us, the average racer, the numerical values that it generates for the different settings, if we're talking about testing for setups and whatnot, may not translate directly to the car on the track. But the general direction that you go and the trends that you go in making those setup changes, that does translate.
There's a lot of things that young racers or amateur racers can begin to build a base of knowledge so that when they get into a real race car, they're familiar with what a front spring change does or how a little bit of a change in tire pressure might affect their race car. Just to build that base of knowledge of what to expect. Track time is becoming more and more limited across the board, so the more prepared that you can be for the types of things that you're going to be up against, whether that be in an engineering conversation or breaking a little bit deeper into a corner. A lot of that can be done and simulated very accurately.
In terms of setup, there's a lot of setup changes that you can do that you wouldn't do in real life just because you don't have the time, So that's a lot of the positive things that you can take from working in the simulator is, you can go out and crash and just hit the reset button, and you can say, okay, well that wasn't a good change. Or
first and foremost, you need to learn your vehicle and that track such that you can extract the most out of the car in a consistent manner, consistent laps. I would say to the point where you can turn consecutive laps all within 0.5% of each other in terms of time.
There are no variables in the simulator, so you're always going to have the same exact track condition, same exact tire wear if you set it up that way, same engine performance and car performance, and that's always a big factor in validating changes.
Simulator was my first introduction to setting up a car and how to even fathom the idea. Pretty much, it was introduced to me through Kelly Jones here at RaceCraft1, and without that vital bit of information, without that vital introduction, I would have been lost beyond belief the first time an engineer said, "Hey, what kind of changes would you like to make, or do you have any thoughts?"
You can actually look at the data, which is very similar to what we use at the track, all the PI and Motec systems, and so you can actually see where you're braking, the cornering speeds in relation to different changes, which is really helpful. I mean, as a driver you can feel it, but it's always good to go and back up what you're feeling and being able to see it with the data and the exact numbers.
Yeah. Knowing what direction to tackle something, or at least to even head in, is a big help to have experienced it through the countless hours of simulation. Say, okay, boom, I'm going to go this way. with it.
You know, having Kelly here at RaceCraft1 is very realistic. You can come in, you tell them what they're doing. Kelly acts as the engineer. He makes the changes of the car. You discuss what changes you'd like to make, and together you come up with an idea and a plan. But it's great to have that engineer here as well, because you know, it's just one other element that gets you closer to the racetrack.